Hello Magic Makers, welcome to Storytime with Mombierella. This is a young adult fiction and may be inappropriate for some younger viewers. Evil Thing. A Tale of That DeVille Woman by Serena Valentino. Copyright Disney Enterprises Incorporated, 2020. Chapter 11. Tick-Tock. After that, Anita and I wrote to each other, less frequently. I used Perdita as an excuse to check in from time to time to see how she was faring. Anita's letters made it clear she had made a cock-up of her life, just as I had expected. Of course she didn't see it that way. She was quite happy, or at least said so in her letters to me, over the years. She went to typing school just as she'd planned and found herself a little flat near a park where she spent her idle time with Perdita, who by all accounts was thriving in Anita's care. Most of our correspondence were about Perdita, with little bits of news of our own lives peppered throughout our missives. Anita eventually met this jingle-writing fool, Roger, when his Dalmatian got his leash tangled with Perdita's at the park. Can you believe it? How disgustingly adorable! The two of them now lived in poverty, with only one servant to speak of, who I could only imagine was a dumpy-looking woman, old enough to be Anita's grandmother. Of course, that's not how Anita described her. She said she was a sweet, older, and very jolly woman. Well, if that doesn't sound like a dumpy old woman, then I really don't know what would. Besides, I honestly didn't have much time to devote to thinking about Anita, her idiotic musician, and their pair of spotted beast. I was too busy living the life of luxury with Jack. Whatever had happened, the night Mamma brought him to dinner couldn't have been all that bad, because he called on me the very next day. It wasn't long before we became an item, and his arrival in my life, just as Anita left it, felt quite written in the stars. Let me tell you about Jack. My cracker Jack. Oh, he was a handsome devil, even more handsome than the leading men in films. He was the love of my life, and it wasn't too long before he was my husband as well. Jack DeVille. Yes, duckies, that's right. He took my name, just as he said he would, and I never thought less of him for it. All my ideas of a man not willing to take his wife's name flew right out of the window when I met Jack. Jack joined me on my travels instead of Anita. Oh, the adventures we had together, the places we saw, the glamorous life we led. His personality could fill an entire room, so I'm sure you can imagine what we were like together. We were the it couple. Always dressed to kill, always making it into the papers, always the funniest and smartest couple at any event. We were a force of nature. It was as if Anita, leaving my life, changed it for the better. I was becoming the woman I was meant to be. I was Cruella DeVille, the heiress, the lady of the manor. And I was living my life exactly how I wanted. I suppose you want to hear about my wedding day. Oh, but I'm so eager to jump ahead to the events that have brought me to Hell Hall, where I am now. And I want so much to share my latest plans with you, but I mustn't skip any of my story. And what is my story without my cracker Jack? Of course, he and Mamma arranged the most magnificent wedding imaginable. It was a glittering affair, and Jack, well, he insisted on paying for all of it. He was sweet that way, my Jack. Always wanting to make people happy, always showing them he loved them, and oh, how he loved me. Our wedding rivaled the royal weddings. To be honest, I do think if it was within his power, he would have crowned me queen. But he did manage to make me feel like one. And not only on our wedding day. He did so for the entirety of our marriage, right up until the end. He did everything he could to ensure my happiness, from suggesting I keep Miss Prickett on as my lady's maid, to helping me make amends with my mamma, and encouraging me to invite Anita to the wedding. He even helped me see where I went wrong with her. He often suggested reconnecting with Anita, but I couldn't bring myself to betray my mamma that way. I could never forget all those horrible things she'd said. Writing to Anita on occasion didn't feel like betrayal, but seeing her, bringing her into our home, I felt would be the ruin of everything. Ever since I decided to marry Jack, life was magical with my mamma. She had a purpose, something to focus on, and for the first time, I was her focus. She helped Jack and me with all the wedding preparations. Of course, Jack wouldn't let her pay for a thing, but he let her have a say in all the planning, which made her sublimely happy. We decided to make the rehearsal dinner a small affair, just Jack, Mamma, and myself. We had it at home, and Mamma arranged for a lovely evening. The dining room was filled with candles and flowers. Sitting around the table, where I'd had so many dinners with Anita, I have to admit I missed her that night. I wished she were there. My heart hadn't hardened completely to Anita. There was still a soft spot for her, even then. But I couldn't bring myself to invite her to the wedding, let alone to the rehearsal dinner, even if I did feel her absence keenly. Even though I was nervous about the idea of talking with Anita again, and worried it would ruin things with Mamma if I did, there was an empty space in my heart reserved for Anita. It was going to be my last evening as an unmarried woman. Though I hadn't been the sort of girl who daydreamed about the night before my wedding, the evening wasn't as I had imagined. I'd always thought I would spend it with Anita.
"What's the matter, darling?"
Jack took my hand.
"You should be happy. What has you so vexed?"
"Nothing, Jack. It's nothing. I'm exceedingly happy, I promise you," I said, but he wasn't convinced.
"I can't have my Cruella sad the night before the wedding. I know what's the matter. You regret not inviting Anita."
"I suppose I do," I said. "Oh, Cruella, don't give that girl another thought," said my mamma. But Jack didn't agree.
"I say you call her. Call her this moment and tell her you want her there. Hell, tell her you want her in the wedding. I made sure Miss Prickett arranged a dress for her in case you changed your mind. Do it now, my love. Do it before you lose your nerve."
He was really quite convincing, my Jack. His smile always won me over. "Do you really think she would come?" I was so excited. Jack's goodwill and optimism was infectious.
"I do think she would come, my love. Now, skedaddle and make that call."
"I think I will," I said, as Jackson came into the room to see if Jack would like to sit in the dining room with his port, while we ladies went into the drawing room.
"I will sit in here for a spell while Cruella makes her call. Can you arrange a line for her in the sitting room? She would like to call Miss Anita,"
he said. And then he gave me a big kiss right in front of Mamma. Americans. You have to love their audacity. Mamma and I left Jack to his port, and I poured Mamma and myself some tea. I waited for Jackson to come back and arrange my call to Anita. "Cruella," Mamma said, with clear disdain, "do you really think it's wise to invite Anita? At the last moment, don't you think she would be insulted that you hadn't invited her months ago, along with the other guest? Anita doesn't care about those sorts of things, Mamma." "Well, perhaps you should think how I would feel. It's bad enough I'm losing my only daughter. Do I have to share the day, not only with her husband, but with an insolent girl who treated me with such disrespect in my own home? Would you insult me like that, Cruella? Would you do that to us, now that we're becoming such good friends again? You know how I detest that girl. Isn't it enough that I've allowed that Miss Prickett back into our household? Am I expected to suffer her company as well as Anita's? Mamma, Miss Prickett has been well out of your way. The poor thing has been hidden away and out of your sight, and besides, she's joining my household. After this evening, she won't be spending another night under your roof. As far as Anita is concerned, though, you're right. I'm sorry, Mamma. Jack is just trying to make me happy."
"What's that, love? Do I feel my ears burning? Were you talking about me?"
Jack said as he came striding into the room, all smiles, and with a little skip in his step. "That was quick," I said.
"I couldn't stand to be parted from you one more moment. It's bad enough I have to go to my club this evening, and I won't see you until tomorrow at the wedding."
My Jack was always so sweet like that. And don't get the wrong end of the stick. He always meant what he said. He was entirely devoted to me.
"My dearest, if you don't mind, I think we will do away with this nonsense of men staying in the dining room to drink port, while the ladies withdraw to the drawing room in our new home altogether. It's antiquated. And most of our lady friends can talk circles around most men anyway," he
said, sitting on the love seat next to me.
"It's all the fashion having the ladies and gentlemen withdraw to the same room. It's more lively and modern. So how did your call to Anita go?"
he asked. "Oh, well, Maman brought up a very good point. She thinks Anita would be insulted if I were to invite her at the last moment. Jack narrowed his eyes. I could tell what he was thinking, but he was too polite to say so in front of my mamma.
As you wish, my love,
he said.
As long as you're happy.
He flashed me his brilliant smile. I am, my love, very happy. Perhaps I will call Anita when we get back from our honeymoon, I said, and I meant it. I honestly wanted her there, for my wedding more than anything, but I couldn't upset Mamma. I didn't want to ruin my new relationship with her.
We should have her and her musician come stay with us. It'll be a scream,
Jack said.
It will be just the sort of thing we will need once we get back from all our travels, don't you think, dear? I can have some of my friends out as well. It'll be the perfect opportunity for our friends to mingle and get to know each other.
That sounds divine, I said, but I was distracted by Mamma's frown. Jack kept talking.
You know, I have half a mind to call Anita myself and tell her to come tomorrow. I know you won't truly be happy tomorrow unless she is there. I don't think we should wait until we're back from our travels.
Mamma cleared her throat. Well, it seems like you have your life all figured out, Krilla, since it doesn't seem as if you've factored me in at all. I suppose I should arrange to leave first thing tomorrow. Leave first thing tomorrow? Mamma, tomorrow is my wedding. Yes, my dear, but it can't be helped. I think it's best if I were to leave for my trip sooner. I was shocked. What trip? You haven't mentioned a trip before now.
Come now, Lady Deville. That isn't fair,
said Jack, but I squeezed his hand, signaling him to leave it to me. I had an idea. Maybe my last and only chance to get Mamma to stay. Well, Mamma, if you leave tomorrow, then you will miss our big surprise, won't she, Jack? Of course, he had no idea what I was talking about. But he was a sharp one, my Jack, and he went along with it.
Yes, my dear, she will, he
said, giving me a look that said he wondered what I was up to. Well, Mamma, Jack and I have been talking about this, and we decided to sign over my inheritance. Oh, Cruella, are you sure? Mamma asked. Her entire demeanour changed. She went from sulking and angry to looking quite jubilant in an instant.
Of course we're sure,
said Jack.
We have more money than we could possibly need for many lifetimes.
Oh, how I loved my Jack. We hadn't, of course, talked about this, but I knew he wouldn't mind. Yes, Mamma. What's my fortune compared to Jack's? We don't need it, but you do. It makes sense. I so wanted to surprise you with the news after we got home from our honeymoon. All that's left is to let Sir Huntley know, so he can bring over the papers for us to sign. Oh, Cruella, I love you, she said, giving me the biggest kiss on the cheek. I didn't think I recalled her ever saying that to me. Not with words. It was the happiest day of my life. My Mamma finally knew how much I loved her. I was finally able to give her something she truly wanted. Later, when we were alone saying our goodbyes before Jack went off to his club, he said,
Are you sure about this, my dear? Signing your entire estate over to your mother is a big decision. You know I don't mind. I'm just concerned you're doing this for the wrong reasons.
He was so sweet, always looking out for me. What better reason is there, Jack, than to make Mamma happy? We don't need my father's money. You said so yourself. I really want to do this for my Mamma. It's important to me, and I'm still keeping Papa's name. I'm still honouring his memory. It's the perfect solution. And my darling, please don't call Anita and have her come tomorrow. I don't want to do anything to upset Mamma. She's so happy.
As long as you're happy, my love, I'm happy. But if there's any hint of you pining for Anita when we get back from our honeymoon, then I will have to insist you call her.
Deal, I said. But I had no intention of calling her. I wasn't going to do anything to ruin my relationship with my Mamma. Not now, after I'd finally won her love.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you haven't had a chance to, please take a second, like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, comment down below, share with a friend, and check out some of the other Villain series chapters and books as well. Join us next time, and remember, let it go and keep moving forward. Have a magical day. Bye.